I didn't mean to leave my body that night. It began in the middle of an ordinary evening in Lisbon, inside the old apartment I was renting near Rua Garrett, just a few minutes from the river. I had come home late, exhausted from another shift, too tired to cook, too wired to sleep. The city below was still alive, tram bells clattering, distant voices rising through the open balcony doors, the faint salt smell drifting in from the Tagus. The fan hummed low in the corner. The light bulb above flickered. I lay down on the couch instead of my bed, scrolling through my phone until my eyelids blurred. I remember setting it on my chest and closing my eyes for just a moment. That's when I heard the hum change. It wasn't mechanical anymore. It was deeper, layered, like several tones vibrating at once. The air thickened around me, pressing against my eardrums. My arms felt heavy, my legs numb. The sound of the city faded until only the hum remained, steady, low, like a faraway engine under the floor. Then came the pressure. It pinned me against the couch. My chest caved inward, my breath shallow and ragged. I tried to move, but my limbs refused. My eyes opened. The ceiling swam above me, hazy and warped, as though underwater. My vision tunneled, and I realized I couldn't even feel my own heartbeat. A tremor started in my spine and rose to my skull. Then, weightlessness. My body jerked once, then everything stopped. I was hovering, staring down at myself. My head tilted slightly on the cushion, one hand still holding my phone. The screen dimmed. The hum was gone, replaced by absolute silence. I turned, confused. My movement wasn't movement, it was gliding. I didn't feel my muscles or my breath, only direction. My apartment was the same, yet different. Edges sharper, shadows heavier, the light dimmer, though no bulb had changed. The air shimmered faintly, like heat above asphalt. Something was wrong. From the corner of the room, near the old wooden door leading to the hallway, a faint ripple passed through the shadows. I froze. My sense of sound returned, but it wasn't sound. It was the faint rhythm of breathing, not mine. Too deep, too deliberate. I turned toward it. The door stood half open, darkness pooling behind it like ink. The breathing stopped. The silence that followed was louder than noise. Then the door began to close, not slamming, just easing shut, slow and deliberate, until the latch clicked. I felt cold ripple through me, even though I wasn't sure I still had skin to feel it. I tried to move closer, to test it, but a sudden pull dragged me backward, hard. The room spun. I was yanked upward through the ceiling, through layers of plaster and dust. I emerged into the floor above, the neighbour's apartment, empty. I'd never been there before, but I knew somehow this was real. I drifted through dark rooms, lit only by the sodium glow leaking in from the street below. The furniture was covered in white sheets, shapes of long disuse. Then a shadow crossed the window. It moved against the direction of the streetlights. Impossible. I turned. Something tall and formless slid past the glass, brushing against it like smoke with weight. The pane trembled. I backed away, but the window began to pulse with faint light, like something behind it was breathing. I wanted to fall back through the floor, return to my body, but the air grew thicker, harder to move through. The sound came again, the deep, layered hum, but this time it came from inside the walls. It pulsed in rhythm, like a heartbeat. Every flicker of sound made the light dimmer. I turned toward the hallway. The door at its end stood open, revealing nothing but black. I floated closer. Halfway down the hall, a sound broke through, the faint scrape of a chair moving below, in my apartment. Then a thud, soft but definite. Something was in my home. I plunged through the floor again, pushing myself downward with sheer panic. The living room reappeared below, the couch, the faint yellow lamp glow, and something standing near it. It was facing away from me, hunched slightly. My body was still lying there, perfectly still. The figure bent down, motion slow, deliberate. I couldn't see its face. It reached toward my hand, the one holding the phone, and then stopped, as if realizing I was watching. The head turned. The motion wasn't human. It snapped around in a full arc too smoothly, too quickly, like a mechanical swivel. The face, or what should have been a face, was smooth, featureless, faintly reflective, like black glass. I felt a pull again, a physical drag toward it. The space between us seemed to collapse, the air folding inward. I pushed back, instinctively trying to think of my body, to get inside it, to wake up. Nothing happened. The figure straightened, towering above the couch. The walls around it seemed to ripple, bending inward. Its hand reached upward, extending far longer than human proportions should allow. I felt the air move with it, a vacuum pulling me closer. I fought against it, pushing backward toward the balcony doors. My motion felt sluggish, syrup-thick. The doors loomed closer, the outside world hazy, distorted, the lights of the Baisha district shimmering. I reached them, pressed forward, and burst through the glass without shattering it. Cold air hit me, or what I perceived as cold. Below, the cobblestone street stretched quiet and empty. The trams had stopped running. A lone street lamp flickered, its halo of light distorting the mist above the river. I hovered just outside my building, the balconies rising like stacked cages. Behind me, inside my living room, the shadow moved toward the balcony. It stepped into the frame of the glass door, head tilted slightly, watching. The light from the lamp below reflected faintly off its surface. Black mirror, glistening. I tried to move away, to rise higher, but the pull returned. This time, it came not from below, but from within the street itself. I looked down. The cobblestones were shifting, ever so slightly, rotating like gears beneath a thin film of fog. I descended, unwillingly, drawn toward them. The ground opened, not breaking, but parting, as if the space between stones had become wide enough for me to slip through. Darkness swallowed me. When I stopped falling, I was standing, if standing still meant anything, in a long tunnel. The air was thick with moisture. Water dripped from unseen pipes, echoing faintly. The walls were old brick, mossy, curved in an arch. I recognized the layout, part of Lisbon's old storm drains, the underground system built centuries ago. But there shouldn't have been light down there. Yet faint luminescence glowed ahead, pale blue and shifting. I followed it. The ground beneath me rippled like shallow water, though it made no sound. My reflection didn't appear. The light ahead brightened, revealing a large junction chamber, circular, with multiple tunnels feeding into it. In the center was the source of light, the same black shape, standing motionless in ankle-deep water. The glow came from below it, spreading outward in concentric rings. The walls quivered as though alive. My pulse, if I still had one, hammered in my skull. I realized the hum had returned, low and constant. Then something changed. The water at my feet began to rise only slightly, yet it moved against gravity, climbing up the walls. My limbs tingled, then vibrated violently, as if the air itself were pulling me apart. The figure turned again, slow, methodical. The space between us shortened in an instant. It was now directly in front of me, the smooth face inches from mine. I saw faint distortions inside its reflective surface, shapes shifting, fleeting, like reflections of people moving behind frosted glass. One of them looked like me. I tried to scream, but no sound existed here. Its arm rose, and I felt my body, or soul, or whatever I was, fracture. My vision split, double, then triple. I saw myself from multiple angles at once, the way security cameras might record a single event. I felt the weight of my physical body far above in the apartment, lifeless and still. The entity stepped closer. My surroundings flickered, brick walls replaced by flashes of my living room, then the tunnel again. I was losing anchor. My thoughts blurred as if dissolving into static. The only thing I could focus on was the instinct to return, to wake up, to breathe again, to reattach to the living form that was still mine. I thought of the sound of the fan, the heat of the room, the rough texture of the couch fabric under my fingers. I repeated these sensations in my mind over and over, anchoring myself to them. The hum rose in pitch, screaming now, drilling into my skull. The light turned white hot. The figure tilted its head back, and its surface fractured. Cracks spiderwebbing across its face, light bleeding through. I lunged. Everything collapsed. For a moment, there was no light, no dark, no sound. Just pressure, and then the sensation of falling through air that had weight. I landed hard, chest first, onto something solid. My lungs filled with air so violently it hurt. I gasped, eyes flying open. The ceiling, the flickering light, the fan's steady hum. I was back. But the air in the room felt wrong. The temperature had dropped sharply. My phone screen was still lit, the clock showing only a few minutes had passed. The balcony doors stood open, the curtains fluttering inward. I sat up, dizzy, the edges of my vision still shimmering. Then I noticed the footprints. Wet, faintly glowing footprints, leading from the couch to the hallway. Human in shape, barefoot but too long, the toes stretched unnaturally. I stood, my legs trembling, and followed them. They stopped at the door that had closed earlier. It was open again, just enough to see into the darkness beyond. Inside was nothing but my own reflection in the glass frame hanging on the opposite wall. Except the reflection wasn't delayed by light. It moved slightly after I did, a half-second lag. Then, in the reflection, the door behind me closed on its own. When I turned, it was already shut. The hum faded. The air lightened. The street noise returned, faint and normal. I backed away until I felt the edge of the couch against my knees and sat down hard, staring at the faint, damp footprints slowly drying on the wooden floor. I stayed awake until sunrise. When daylight finally hit the room, the footprints had vanished. But the reflection in the glass frame still seemed wrong. The colours duller, my face slightly off-centre, as if the surface were showing me from somewhere else entirely. That day, nothing in my apartment felt solid anymore. Every sound carried a hidden echo, every shadow a memory of movement. I avoided mirrors. I kept the lights on, the fan humming, the balcony locked. But each time I closed my eyes, even for a moment, I felt the subtle pull beneath my skin, that thin, invisible tether that could so easily snap again.